Good evening, good folks, and welcome to the City of Muskegon City Commission General Session for this Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Before we get on with our business, I do want to let folks know that we do have a couple of public comment periods. One's on any agenda items, and the other's general public comment at the end of the meeting. In either public comment period, you have up to 3 minutes to provide your remarks. I do encourage you to complete a public comment form in the back of the room. Please provide your name and home address. Note I will not be sharing your home address, nor asking you to announce your home address. That is for our private records. I will acknowledge which neighborhood you may be coming from if you're a city resident, and if you're not a city resident, which other township, village, or city you may be joining us from. There will also be phone-in comments, so if you're not able to be here in person, you have the opportunity to phone in your comments. That number used to be up here, but it's not anymore. I'm pretty sure it's 231-724-6721. Is that right? Yes. All right, got to memorize now. So the call-in number is 231-724-6721. Do not call right this moment. Wait until we get to public comment for phone-in. Whether you're calling in or giving in-person remark, it's 3 minutes either way. And so, we're going to start with prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, then get on with the roll call and the rest of our business. We're going to be led in prayer by Pastor Russell Dam from Oak Crest Church of God. If you care to join us for either the prayer or the Pledge of Allegiance, I do ask that you stand if you're so capable of doing so. Welcome, Pastor.
Thank you. I just made it by the skin of my teeth today. Then I got out to park, and I locked my keys would not come out of the ignition, and somebody helped me get it out. So life is crazy sometimes.
We're glad you're able to make it.
Glad to be here. Father, we just thank you, and we praise you, and we know that life does get crazy, and all the things that are going on in this world today, in Israel and Iran and in our own country. Father, just help us to keep our eyes focused on you. Help us to recognize that you are behind all things, or with all things, I should say. You know what's going on. You're not surprised at what's happening. And Father, right now, for all of us here and all the meeting and the agenda, Father, guide our hearts, guide our minds. Help us to take a deep breath and relax if we're all wound up, which many of us can be, including myself. And we just give you all the glory and the praise. I thank you for this committee. I thank you for everything that's going on that's in a positive direction. And when we ask all these things in Jesus' name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor. Now may we have roll call, please.
Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Kogo.
Here.
Commissioner Keener.
Here.
Commissioner German.
Here.
Commissioner Gorman.
Here.
Commissioner Cochin.
Here.
Thank you. We are all assembled. So we do have an honor and then a presentation. And so we're going to start with our honorifics with the Threads Y3 program, which is an initiative of the Threads community organization. Following that, we will be having our audit presentation from our auditor. So we won't be offended if the youth want to leave right after the honors and avoid the boring financial audit. Nonetheless, I'm going to read a proclamation. After the proclamation, we're going to show a slideshow. It's always good to have visuals to connect to the words and the works that you all have done over the past year. And after the slideshow, I'll be calling you all up and awarding a certificate of appreciation for each of you. This is a proclamation recognizing the Threads Y3 program and celebrating its young leaders. Whereas it is with great pride that we recognize outstanding young leaders who have shown a commitment to strengthening our democracy through voter registration and advocacy. And whereas the Threads.org Educate, Empower, and Engage Youth Program, Threads Y3 program, is an initiative dedicated to amplifying community voices and developing youth change makers. Ages 13 through 18 from Black, Indigenous, and Latino majority communities. And whereas the Y3 program, aligned with the Thread's mission to counter the negative effects of gentrification and inspire historically disadvantaged individuals, seeks to empower youth with the tools, knowledge, and platforms necessary to become impactful agents of change. And whereas through a focus on civic engagement, cultural pride, and critical skill development, the Threads Y3 program aims to magnify marginalized voices, address systemic challenges, and lay a strong foundation for generational empowerment from a youth perspective. And whereas Threads Y3 is comprised of dedicated individuals, you all here, dedicated individuals who in the past year have contributed over 60 hours to phone banking and more than 450 hours in preparing, training, and engaging communities to share critical election information. And whereas these young leaders played an integral role in key national and local initiatives such as National Voter Registration Day, National High School Registration Week, and the 5-county Get 'em Out Early to Vote effort, thereby promoting civic engagement across our region. And whereas through their efforts, they have registered over 75 new voters and distributed more than 2,500 nonpartisan voter education packets throughout Muskegon County and beyond. And whereas these young leaders have also embraced opportunities for financial growth, completing over 750 hours of paid work, thereby fostering financial understanding and independence for themselves and their peers. And whereas their work has not gone unnoticed, as they have received commendations from U.S. Congresswoman Hillary Scholten and have been recognized on media platforms such as WZM 13 and Wood TV 8. Now, therefore, I, Kenneth D. Johnson, Mayor of this magnificent city of Muskegon, and speaking on behalf of the City Commission and the citizens of Muskegon, do hereby proclaim our respect and appreciation to the young leaders of the Threads Y3 program. We celebrate these individuals and extend gratitude for their commitment to enhancing democracy and for the vital role they play in the future of our community and our country. Thank you. Now roll the slideshow. See some of the great events and fun and work y'all been doing.
Get the vote out, right? Vote out.
Once that goes off, we have to be out the door and on the road within 2 minutes.
said free church? I did indeed.
An amazing year it was. Looked like you had a lot of fun while doing good works. I'm going to present the proclamation to Miss Maria, as well as the certificates to the rest of you. So as I call you, if you would come up one by one, and we're going to line up in the front of the dais, and then give, I believe there's one representative of the group that wishes to address the commission. So, and we welcome that. All right, Ms. Maria, you want to come on up and take the proclamation on behalf of the Threads Y3 program? We have Aaliyah. Armando couldn't join us this evening unless he snuck in. We're going to set this aside for him. We also have Sienna. Diana wasn't able to be here as well, right? All right. Set hers aside as well. Dakira? And Isaiah? Thank you, Isaiah. Jazia? Caden? And Kamaria? Might have to start using your microphones. Kanasia wasn't able to join us this evening, but we appreciate her nonetheless. And Kanaya was not able to be here either. However, we do have Madison. And Marcus. Sorry, I got out of order just a second. There you go. And let me make sure I give the right one, Marcus. There you are. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you. Appreciate it. And finally, last but not least, Tamora. Yes, of course, Pastor Randy Vanderwijk, coordinator of the YP program.
Okay, squish in real close. I can basically see Randy in. So squish, squish.
Treasure, you should get up here too.
Come on, Treasure.
Treasure helped with these initiatives.
Look at me. 1, 2. Oh.
Marcus, you're going to do this honor of speaking on behalf of the organization.
Here, y'all want to actually go to the side so people can address it.
That's right.
That's it. What is that?
Good evening, commissioners, Mayor Johnson, and everyone here today. My name is Marcus, and I'm proud to be a part of the Threads Youth Program. On behalf of all of us youth leaders, our board directors, and our president and CEO, Miss Maria, I want to thank the City of Muskegon Commission for recognizing us for our efforts tonight. It truly means a lot to us. This honor isn't just about one person, it's about the entire team. It's about the entire Youth Threads team. Together, we've worked hard on advocacy, community engagement, and get out the vote efforts. It's incredible to know that our voices as youth in this community are being heard. The support of an organization like Threads has been life-changing. It gives us tools like confidence and platform to make a difference right here in Muskegon. And being part of this program has shown me that even as young people, we can lead the change, and I'm excited about what we can continue to accomplish together. Thank you again for this recognition and for supporting the work we do. It inspires us to keep striving for a better community.
Thank you again for your dedication to democracy and your commitment to community. So thank you. Another round of applause for them. Next up, we have a presentation, an audit presentation of the annual comprehensive financial report by Brickley DeLong, but being led out by our finance director.
Good evening, commissioners and mayor. Kenneth Grant, finance director for the city. I just want to thank everyone that was part of the audit process. It's a long, arduous process that started somewhere back in September, and it's just now wrapping up. So I'd like to thank all my staff and commissioners, everybody participating and helping out with this audit. So before that, I just want to thank everyone that helped us with this, and I'm going to introduce you to Eric. He's from Brickley DeLong, and he's going to give a presentation about our audit. Before he comes up, I want to let everyone know that the audit is available online on our website. So if citizens need to find it, it's on our website under the finance department. I introduce you, Eric Van Dot from Brickley DeLong.
Hello all. Nice to see you all once again. I'm going to give a brief overview of the audited financial statements, but I'm really here for your benefit, so if there's any questions or anything you want to discuss in more detail, feel free to jump on in. I think you've all got a hard copy of it in front of you, so we'll look at certain pages, and I think we're going to have that up on the screen as well. So let's get started. The transmittal letter starts on page 5. I'm not going to go through that, but I did definitely want to note it. It goes from 5 to 11. That's a nice overview of the city, written by the city manager and finance director, the broad city. Just a good spot to go to kind of get a good feel for that. Following that, on page 17 is the auditor's opinion letter. You keep up? No, okay. All right. Page 17 is the opinion letter, and that's what makes this an audit. So we express our opinion there right at the top of 17, and the second paragraph you can see it says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the various financial statements for the year then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. It's the same big long sentence that I read every year, and it means what it says. We believe your financial statements are fairly presented based on our testing procedures and other things that we did for the audit. I always do mention it says in all material respects because we can't provide absolute assurance. We're looking more at the big picture. All right, and following that, on page 21, the transmittal letter I mentioned is kind of the city as a whole. Page 21 focuses more on the city's finances. This is the management discussion and analysis, another document from the city. Again, nice kind of Cliff Notes version of the audit if you want to just kind of get the little 5 or 6 page summary rather than the whole 100-page plus thing. But just to let you know that's there. So having said all that, though, let's look at some numbers. That's the most exciting stuff. So we'll look at the general fund in a little bit more detail because that's your primary operating fund. So if we go to 39, the general fund is broken out in much more detail behind the footnotes, but we'll stick to the summarized version here. But if you did want to see it all split out by department and function, you can do that in the back. Okay, the left column is the general fund. That first subtotal, total revenues of $40,793,281. That's up about $1.3 million from last year. Just significant changes. The top line, their taxes, and that is up about $1 million, and that encompasses income taxes, property taxes, and the excise tax distributions from the state. And all 3 of those were up this year, so a little bit of a bump up there. Licenses and permits are up about down about $534,000. You continue to have quite a bit of development, but not quite as much as the prior year. 2023 was rather exceptional. Federal revenue's up a little bit. State revenue's about the same. Charges for services there, the $5,176,000 are up about $473,000 with changes in indirect costs to other funds. And then interest and investment earnings and rental income there are $1,871,000. That's up about $796,000 due to higher rate of return. Interest rates are up, and you guys are benefiting from that as well. Everything else is pretty comparable to last year. Again, revenues are up about $1.3, almost $1.4 million. On the expenditure side, total expenditures of $40,321,961. That's an increase of about $2,465,000 from last year. A lot of that was inflationary adjustments, wage adjustments. The culture and recreation line, of course, reflects the playground makeovers and restarting of the recreation programs, and a few other odds and ends. Capital outlays down a little bit this year with less infill housing being paid out of the general fund. And the net result of all that is excessive revenues over expenditures of $471,320. Transfers of about exactly $900,000 to other funds. And that leaves you with an overall decrease in fund balance of $428,680. An ending fund balance of $9,589,228. So slight decrease this year, but still a pretty good year. I know you guys got a lot done in the general fund. I would note too that for internal documents, you track your general fund separately from your budget stabilization fund, but for external reporting purposes, we have to roll the budget stabilization fund into the general fund. So that $9,589,000 includes the $1.8 million in the budget stabilization fund. Just if you were to compare that to your internal documents, that's why there's a difference there. So, any questions on the general fund?
Commissioners, any questions at this point?
All right.
Commissioner Cochin.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, you said the $9,589,228 includes a $1.8 million?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. I was also going to note your unassigned fund balance. You do exceed your 13%. You've got in your finance policies that you want your unassigned fund balance to exceed 13% of prior year revenues, which it does. So, all right. Let's look at the sewer and water funds. Those are a couple other big funds you've got. Those are over on 43 if we want to go there. The sewer fund is in the left column. I'm going to focus primarily on the totals near the bottom, but overall on the bottom line there, change in net position, the sewer had an increase of $3,392,523, leaving ending net position of $28,891,313. Now the sewer and water and marina funds here use full accrual accounting. I don't want to get too deep into the jargon here, but these are accounted for more like a private company where you have all your fixed assets, your infrastructure, your related debt included in them as well, whereas the general fund and most of your other funds are what we call modified accrual, which is current resources, so it doesn't have those long-term assets and liabilities in there. And I'm just mentioning that because $28.8 million looks like a really big number, and it is, but a lot of that is all your pipe in the ground and stuff like that. If you were to look on the previous page on the bottom of 42, you'll see that same $28 million number under net position there, and you've got your net position broken into a few different buckets. The net investment in capital assets, that's all of your fixed assets net of related debt. There's some restricted net position that's set aside for bond covenants and things of that nature. And unrestricted gives you a better idea of what's actually available. And you can see the sewer fund has unrestricted net position of $6,293,000. And that's up a little bit from last year. If we go back to 43, we'll look at the water fund too. The water fund is in the next column, again on the bottom, change in net position of $3,608,847. Ending net position of $37,324,673. Again, if we look at the bottom of the previous page, you'll see that same split out. And I know the water, as you know as well, the water fund has been in deficit for a couple of years. It continues to be in deficit this year, but it has improved. The unrestricted net position in the water fund is a negative $332,672. About $36.7 million is net investment in capital assets. And again, just like the sewer fund, there's some bond covenant restrictions in there as well. I would note, again, as I'm sure you're well aware of, the sewer and water fund have been very, very busy funds the last 5 years or so with quite a few projects going on. So there's been a lot of money funding from the state revolving fund coming through the city to fund those projects. Some of it's grant-oriented where you get the grant. It's a grant, you don't have to pay it back, and others of it is paid back over time. So I keep jumping back and forth between 42 and 43, but near the bottom of 43, you'll see the capital grant contribution line there, right above the change in net position. And you can see the sewer fund had almost $2 million in capital grants and contributions, and the water fund had about $3.5 million. So that's basically money that's coming in to help fund those capital projects that doesn't have to be repaid. So it's nice that the city's been able to take advantage of that, and I know the city's got a lot of streets, so got to keep up with that. So, any questions on the sewer and water funds?
Commissioners?
All right.
None at this time.
So, since we're looking at 43, you might as well look at the next column over. The Marina and Launch Fund is up $382,000 there, almost $383,000. That includes a $600,000 transfer in, though, from the general fund. That leaves that fund with an ending net position of $1,347,000, of which $586,000 is unrestricted. So that's the Marina Fund. Any questions? Otherwise, we will look at a couple things further back. If we want to roll back then to 97, we're going to look at your pension and other post-employment benefit plans. So 97 is a nice table that shows the schedule. It's a schedule of your changes in your net pension liability and related ratios. I would emphasize that you're in the MERS system, and we have to provide this data in the same format that MERS does, and they're a December 31 year end. So what we're looking at here is actually 6 months older. This is as of the year into 12/31/23 rather than 6/30/24. So if you're looking at 2023 there, in the top, you can see that the change in the total pension liability, it's the total liability ignoring any money that's set aside per actuarial computations, increased $1,580,000 to $133 million. And then on the asset side, that increased $3,072,000, primarily due to a great year on investment return, to $86,905,000 that you've set aside in the trust at MERS. The city is billed monthly by MERS. You're required by state statute to fund your retirement, and you have done so. So that's, again, you see some pretty big employer contributions going in there as well. That ends up with a net pension liability of $46,846,000, and the city's about 65% funded in their pension. Again, these pension numbers, you look at them and go, well, it'd be nice if it was higher, and certainly that's the goal of MERS as well. The actuaries are constantly crunching numbers, looking at when they expect employees to retire, what they expect to pay them out when they retire. The whole idea being that you're funding today for what the employees are earning today that they'll be paid when they retire. And then they also have to make up for any past shortfalls where, say, their expected investment return doesn't live up to what actually happened. So the important thing, again, I want to mention, though, is that you are making all your required payments. But having seen this around, in the mid-60s, though, I would expect that MERS will probably continue to increase the amount that you need to pay going forward to get your defined benefit plan closer to 100% funded. Questions on the defined benefit plan?
I just want to get some clarification with regard to the timeline.
Yep.
So last 10 fiscal years, amounts were determined as of December 31st of each fiscal year.
Yes.
So 2023, is that December 31st, 2023, or is it, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I know our fiscal year starts, 6 months.
Yeah, it's as of December
prior,
31, yep.
Okay.
So this is, every year is just 6 months behind the city's years here. So, all right, if we...
Commissioner Kilgo has
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I see the service cost over the last 9 years continues to go down. Can you explain what the service cost is?
That is the actuary trying to determine what your current employees are earning towards retirement. The idea being that they're earning those benefits as they work. And your defined benefit plan has been closed for 15, going on 20 years. So what that means, as time goes on and more of those older employees retire, you have fewer and fewer working employees that are in this plan, and that's why that's going down. All of your newer employees are in more of like a defined contribution 401k plan where the city puts aside a certain percentage. It's the employee's money, but that's it. The defined benefit plan, they're trying to work towards a specific benefit.
And that's why the city will have to contribute more because there's less and less.
That's true as well. The amount you contribute as a percentage of payroll continues to go up just because there's less and less payroll for people in the plan because there just aren't as many people in it. Anything else? All right, we'll go back a couple pages and do the same thing with your retiree health care on page 99. Now, this one got adjusted this year. This is a city plan, not the money's held at MERS, but it's a city plan, so you have your own valuation done. And for years, this valuation had been done as of 12/31 because that's when the other one was done. But it was switched to June 30 this year. So when you're looking at 2024 there, that's actually an 18-month period to get it caught up. So that gets it lined up with the city fiscal year end, and that'll be a little bit easier to follow in the future rather than being 6 months off like the MERS one is. The good news with this one is you had this one over that 18-month period, and of course we're dealing with much smaller numbers here as well. This is like a fifth of the size of the MERS plan. But the actual liability, the total liability went down a bit to $23,886,000, and then the amount that you've got set aside went up about $3.4 million to $26 million. So the net result is your liability, your net liability, has actually become an asset this year. So you've got slightly more money set aside than you need to at this point in time, and that will, of course, impact what the actuaries calculate you'll need to set aside into the future. But this plan is actually 110% funded. So that's nice to see. I know that has been a priority for a while as well to get this better funded, and you got there. So, all right. I'm going to talk briefly in the back. I don't know that we need to worry about going there, but just to let you know, if you get all the way back to page 157, in addition to doing the audit, we do a single audit for you as well. That's a federal compliance audit. If you spend over $750,000 in federal funds, you have to have a single audit or compliance audit where we have to do additional work basically checking to make sure the grant money was spent properly and that sort of thing. So that report appears in the back. there's really not much else to say about that. As has been the case, you're getting a significant amount of money for both. Some of that money flowing through the state is actually federal money, and then of course CDBG and home and some of those programs continue to be significant, as does ARPA, as the ARPA funds are spent down as well. ARPA was actually the program we focused in on this year. They consider that to be a high risk program just because it's relatively new and unusual, so we always have to focus in on that one, at least for the past year. So that, just to let you know, that's in the back behind the financial section. I would also note, in the course of doing an audit, we're not auditing your internal controls, but if items come to our attention in the course of doing our processes and procedures, and we bring them to your attention in the form of recommendations. And there's a couple of recommendations included in the single audit section, although they pertain to the financial audit. They just have to go in the back there on just improving some of the year-end closing procedures and things of that nature. Nothing that I was too worried about, but we just had to report those just to let you know those are in the back couple pages. Otherwise, that's pretty much all I was going to say about the big book, but I'll take a breath here. Any questions on anything I talked about, or perhaps something I did not talk about?
Commissioners? Any questions about what has been shared or inquiry into other information? Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and good evening. I was reading in the report, and if you can explain, I think it was on 149, 150, it talks about the overlapping debt.
Okay, yep. Just to explain what that is. All right, this is in the statistical section, so this is kind of behind the financial statements, but before we get to the single audit. When you do an annual comprehensive financial report, you have to have a bunch of extra statistical data in here. These are things that the accounting standard setters think are useful to the public and to the commission as well. And I would say some of them are, and maybe a few of them aren't. But these are sort of extra things that get added by doing that full annual comprehensive financial report. I would also note too, because they don't fall within the basic financial statements, they're technically not audited, so we put them in here and make sure the numbers match, but otherwise we don't audit them. But this is just showing total direct and overlapping debt in the city. So the top part is showing the city debt, the various outstanding amounts, and then some of the debts are self-supporting. What that means is like your sewer and water debt, city funds aren't being paid to use that, like general fund property tax monies. The users of the water and sewer fund are paying for those with their charges. So if you're kind of going from left to right, you can see you get to the debt supported by city general revenues on the right by backing those out. And then below that overlapping debt, just to let the reader know, is that's the debt these other units have that overlap with the city, because residents of the city theoretically, well they are serviced by those units as well, whether it's the school district or the library or the county or things of that nature. So those are the portion of those debts that are included, and you can see the percentage breakout there. So like Muskegon School District at the top there, they've got $78.2 million in debt, of which about 95.6% falls within the city municipal boundaries, so that you get the net number there. And then some of the other school districts like Orchard View and Reese Puffer have very small pieces that are in the city, so that's why they have much smaller amounts that come across to that net number. And then similar for Muskegon County and Muskegon Community College, where the city of Muskegon's about 13.16% of the county. So the net result of all that, as you can see at the bottom, residents in the city, both direct debt issued by the city itself and then debt issued by these other entities, is about $128 million in total. So interesting figure to see that and be able to know that. I don't know that you do much more with it than that, but that's why it's there.
Okay. And how does that directly impact the city?
Well, the top part there, the direct debt, does directly impact the city, because you're going to have to budget and make those debt payments going forward out of the general fund or what other funds are funding those. The overlapping debt doesn't really impact the city government itself, but it does impact the residents, because the residents are paying taxes to those entities as well, whether it's the school district or the county or whatever. So they've got tax dollars going in those directions as well.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Any other questions or thoughts to share, commissioners?
All right. I was also going to briefly mention you've got one separate letter. I talk about this letter every year, but I don't know if it's tucked in the book or just separate. But we just have to provide this little 3-page document, auditor's letter, to those charged with governance every year. This is just a required communication. We have to do this every year for every audit client. Very specific things have to go in writing. So if you look through this, significant audit matters, it talks about any significant new accounting policies this year, and we've had over the last couple of years some bigger accounting standards that were adopted, but thankfully this was kind of a slow year, so no significant new accounting policies this year. It goes into significant estimates like depreciation, compensated absences, and things of that nature. The fact that we looked at them and believe the estimates are reasonable. The second page gets into significant footnotes, and I showed you those tables, which kind of are one-stop shopping for MERS and OPEB, but you can go into the footnotes and footnote M and N, and there's like 6 or 7 pages per footnote going into a lot greater detail on those assumptions and how those numbers are arrived at. So those are kind of important footnotes just due to the size of those liabilities. Difficulties encountered performing the audit. If we had any difficulties in completing the audit for one reason or another, we would note that. There were not any corrected and uncorrected misstatements. There's just a brief table in the back that summarizes some of our more significant adjustments. Any disagreements with management on accounting or auditing principles or things of that nature, we would note that. And again, there were not any. Management representations were required at the end of an audit to have management sign a letter asserting that they fully disclosed everything to us, which they did do, and a few other odds and ends, but really there's not a lot in here that I would consider to be unusual or unique. I just have to let you know what it is and why you have it, and that's about all there is to say about that. So I think before I go, I certainly wanted to express my gratitude to the finance department and the treasurer's office and a lot of other people at the city that play a role in. I know Ken, Jessica, and Sarah, especially 3 of the bigger players here that we get to pester a lot for a couple weeks, and we do appreciate the time they put into it. And I certainly thank the City Commission for having us out, and I look forward to seeing you again next year. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Van Dot. Appreciate your work, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you guys as well. Maybe next time I come in January, you guys can have like 80 degrees or something for me.
Hey, that'd be nice.
Thanks.
Thank you much. Take care.
Thank you.
And thank you to our finance department and treasury department and everyone else involved at City Hall with working with the auditor and getting this annual comprehensive financial report completed. I know it's a lot of work. All right. Move on to public comment on agenda items. I have not received any forms. Are there any comment forms down there for agenda items? No. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on an agenda item? Okay. All right, we're going to go to the phones. This is for comments on an agenda item only. Phone number is 231-724-6721, and you may speak on multiple agenda items if you wish. But when you call in, please make sure any audio is turned on in the background. Announce yourself, and if you are a city resident, which neighborhood you're calling from. If you're not a city resident, which other township, village, or city you may be calling from. And then let us know just what agenda item you're speaking on. Again, that phone number is 231-724-6721. Does it sound like we have any takers? No calls? All right. All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Commissioners, you've had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. Are there any items that you wish to have removed for separate consideration and vote? Commissioner German.
Yeah, item E is in Edward.
Any other items, commissioners? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented, minus item E.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Keener, supported by Commissioner Cochin. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cochin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo?
Yes.
Commissioner Keener?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item E, Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution authorizing, let me see if I'm reading the right one, authorizing DPW Director and Clerk to sign the Amity Bridge removal and reconstruction contract with MDOT.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner German, supported by Commissioner Kilgo. Welcome, sir. Kindly introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Dan Vanderhyde, Director of Public Works for the city. And this item before you tonight is effectively a mistake that I made. When I was here last month, you had before you the agreement to approve with MDOT the removal and replacement of the Amity Bridge, just downtown here. And at the time, I neglected to include the resolution that authorizes me and the clerk to sign that agreement, which the state requires us to have. So this item is to pass that resolution that will then allow us to sign the agreement and move the project forward.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner German?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Director Vanderhyde. Actually, you just answered my question. And thank you for that clarification. By this being in my ward, and we talked about the removal of that Amity Street Bridge a couple times, and I think it's going to be a good addition to the neighborhood. I did see excavators and had that area fenced off over there also. So it looked like things are moving forward. So
I suspect that may be actually the some nearby housing projects, but
Yep.
this project should start pretty quickly in the spring. So.
yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners? No? All right. Thank you, Director Vanderhyde. Moving on to public hearings. Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gorman? Yes. Commissioner Cochin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo?
Yes.
Commissioner Keener?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now moving on to public hearings. We have neighborhood enterprise zone certificates for 558, 568, 601, 608, 613, 621 Jackson, 522 and 532 Leonard, 501, 503, and 505 Elva, 502, 504 Herrick, and 460 Langley. And so first we're going to get a staff report on this, then we'll open up to a public hearing, then we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing, and as well as the approval of the certificates. So good evening and welcome. Kindly introduce yourself, please.
Good evening. I'm Jocelyn Hines, the development analyst here at the city.
Welcome. You have a report for us on this request and public hearing?
Yeah, so just like Mayor Johnson read off the addresses, Green Rabbit Home Builders is requesting NEZ certificates for those following properties. As you all know, NEZ certificates provide tax incentive for the construction and rehab of residential housing. Construction cost for each home is around $190,000. On October 22nd, 2024, Commission approved to amend the existing neighborhood enterprise zones. With these amendments, we were able to offer NEZ certificates to more residents and developers in our core neighborhoods. In your packet, you will see the amended map and resolution. And as you also may recall, on May 28th, 2024, Commission approved the sale of the listed lots. They were originally city-owned lots, and now they're under the ownership of Green Rabbit Home Builders. Green Rabbit is here and can provide any information you all wish to hear on construction, any type of community engagement they're doing in regards to the selling of the homes, or any project updates that you all wish to hear. So I'll invite them up to provide you all any updates.
Good evening.
How are you today?
Doing well. Could you please introduce yourselves?
Jennifer Jackson with Green Rabbit.
Bryant Mitchell.
Good evening and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you.
Welcome back to City Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And so you have some updates for us on where you're at with the project, and how soon things will be getting underway once these are all issued, and
Yeah.
like where things stand. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were actually planning on breaking ground like probably 3-ish weeks, maybe longer. Found out about NEZ. We have 5 that are going to be going in. 3 of them have buyers, and the buyers, we're looking at their numbers, and the taxes came in, and then we found out that there was an NEZ, and the NEZ would allow them to get essentially 50% off their taxes for 13 to 15 years. So we basically put everything on pause because if we would have had an existing permit, we wouldn't have been able to sit in front of you and get these NEZs approved, at least underneath Green Rabbit, from what we have understood.
Want the new homeowners to benefit from the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to open up to questions from the commission. Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes. Could I ask the clerk to put the map up of the NEZ zones? I think it's at the bottom of all the addresses. It says maps on it.
It's the second to last attachment. Yeah. Next one.
Thank you. I guess I have more of a statement than a question. I'm very familiar with the NEZs, and I will just say that in our wonderful city, new construction projects that are not in NEZ zones, especially that first year of taxes, makes it very, very difficult for homeowners to complete the home sale because of those initial taxes before it's assessed and everything. So I know that we've created NEZ zones in other parts of the city, and I'm really excited for what Green Rabbit's bringing to the city of Muskegon. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the completion.
Oh, I mean, it's just kind of like to piggyback what you just said. What we don't want to have happen is a homeowner gets in a house. The first year, you know, they're paying their mortgage payment. They have an escrow account set up with their mortgage. Then all of a sudden they get to the second year, and then they get a reassessment, and they go from this to this, and then they get the letter saying that you're in a deficit for your escrow account. That's just not where we want people to be. This allows people to see that difference right off of the bat. What the NEZ, with getting this NEZ would saves them money, a couple $100 in some cases, $240. $240, that's a lot of money per month that they can put into the Muskegon economy doing whatever, buying furniture, whatever. So that's really why we're here.
Any
Trying
follow-up,
to be
Commissioner?
proactive about it.
Pardon?
We're just trying to be proactive about it.
And help set up any future residents best they can be. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Set them up
Yeah.
for success.
Yeah.
And long-term sustainability as residents. Commissioner German.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mayor. And good evening.
Hey.
Just a quick question. How many homes have you completed in that area so far?
We have not.
You have
We have
not
not. We ran across this, and we were getting ready to start digging, and
Right. Oh, okay.
I
So
was
you haven't
like,
completed anything yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're not the builders that other projects that I've seen.
Say that
I said
again?
no.
No,
So
we're
you're
not
not
the
the
ones.
builders of the other projects that,
No.
that I've
No.
seen there.
No.
Yeah. And that's just happened to be a area that I oversee as a
Oh, yeah.
commissioner also, and I think it's going to be good for the commission because I did get some calls from some constituents about NEZ certificates and projects that's going on in the Jackson Hill area. And I think it would be a benefit to help them financially also. So I'm glad to hear, and I've mentioned this before in the past, about something like this being in the core of the city. We know downtown we have those incentives for developers and to have this available for citizens in the core of the area, which is good. So
it helps people out intensely when you start looking at debt to income ratios when they're getting their mortgage financing. It's drastic. A person can go from a 35% debt to income ratio all the way down to a 28 by just doing this, and it's just a simple. It's already here. We just didn't know about it. So now we know about it. Every lot that we purchase from this point on, we're going to try to get it done ahead of time. So we don't have this slow up, because for us it's a slow up. We want holes in the ground. We were anticipating on having people in houses at this point, but you got to do what's best for the people.
that's
It's
greatly
already did,
appreciated
so
too.
well done, actually. Like,
Yeah, we were extremely happy to see that it was already done. We just had to apply for it.
Yeah, we recently expanded the NEZ districts to that area and elsewhere, along the east central and further east in the city to expand it because, as Commissioner German said, it was more concentrated in the core city in the Nelson neighborhood and section of McLaughlin, but we've expanded it elsewhere throughout the city. So, yes. Any other questions, Commissioners? No. All right. Any questions for staff on this before we go to public hearing? Commissioner Kilgo.
Yeah, I just have one question for staff. So on the map that's shown to us, the proposed City of Muskegon NEZ map, if there was any of our neighborhoods, Steele, Marquette, Jackson Hill, each individual developer, let's say, has to apply for it. So they're already set in these zones, or we would have to move them to, because the map says proposed.
Yeah, so
curious.
Yeah, so this is the map that we presented to you all at the October meeting. We're working with the county to give us the pretty GIS map. So we're just using the temporary map we have, but this is the permanent map that you'll see. It just, the wording and things just need to be changed on it. So if any developers or we're definitely encouraging current residents who want to do external improvements to their home, they can also take advantage of this program as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Just to clarify, you say external. The program is available for internal renovations as well. It's not just
Yeah, we're going to be,
right?
so we're going to do in the next probably Q1, beginning of Q2, we're going to do some community engagement in regards to like what our actual taxable things that bring taxable value to a home, so we can have a very good list of like, hey, if you make these type of improvements to your home, this increases your taxable value, which makes the NEZs more advantageous. So we hope to do some community engagement in the next couple of months in regards to the specific list of things that are taxable value.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you again, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Hines, for addressing that, bringing that up, because that's the conversation that we talked about at one of our meetings. And giving citizens that have invested in the community for so many years and looking at that area where they suffered a lot of hardship, a lot of senior citizens that are not able to do, excessive, remodeling to their homes or invest. So I think we talked about the figure of about $3,500 investment was mentioned at one time. I'm not sure, but if we can come up with some type of incentive where it could benefit and help the hardship of these citizens, I think it would be greatly appreciated from the constituents in the cities, because people are hurting, and who knows what may happen down the line. So, as a commissioner, advocating for my ward, and I'm quite sure other residents in the city who experience these hardships, and would appreciate anything that the city can do to support them, to help them, to a better livelihood and a better quality of life.
Absolutely.
Any other questions before we go to public? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to give comment on the issuance of these NEZ Neighborhood Enterprise Zone certificates? Seeing no one in the audience, we're going to go to the phone. That's 231-724-6721. This is for phone and comment on as part of a public hearing for the issuance of Neighborhood Enterprise Zone certificates only with regard to these properties on Jackson, Leonard, Elva, Herrick, and Langley. Doesn't sound like we have any callers for this public hearing. Then, commissioners, entertain a motion.
I move to close the public hearing and approve the Neighborhood Enterprise Zone District certificates at 558, 568, 601, 608, 613, 621 Jackson, 522, 532 Leonard, 501, 503, 505 Alva, 502, 504 Herrick, and 460 Langley, and authorize the city clerk and mayor to sign a certificate resolution.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Keener, supported by Commissioner Kilgo. Is there any final thoughts or questions that you wish to ask before we go to a vote? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kogo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Just for DTE right now. Ours lives on
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, do you have any other business to bring to our attention this evening? Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes. I have several things, so I'll be quick. One, I'd like staff to look into. A constituent contacted me about last year they could access all of our agendas pre-meeting, and I don't know if it's because we changed systems, they weren't able to access the regular way the agenda.
So so we have updated that. It's on the main part of the website. If you go to City of Muskegon's, or if you go to muskegon-mi.gov, right on the top of the page, there's a blue icon that says Commission Agenda. You click on that, and it's right there.
Awesome. So we just moved it.
Yeah, the archives will be.
There's a new portal. So the archives page, every meeting packet and agenda and minutes will be published to the archives page after the meeting, ahead of the meetings, and you can even see the archived agendas here. But this is the new portal that the clerk's office has implemented. And at first, when I saw it, it was a little off-putting to me as well, because I've been used to using these PDFs from the archive page for over a decade, and I'm like, what's going on here? But then once working in this and navigating this, I actually realized this is an improvement in a number of different ways, because instead of having to download the full packet, you can pick and choose. I only want this item. I'm only interested in this item, and so you can pull up that item, its cover sheet, plus its supporting documents. This has stronger, more robust search capability as well. So if there's particular topics that you're interested in identifying, and then, oh my God, there's a couple other improvements that I was going to touch on. Oh, yeah. And it's split screen too on your phone, so you can look at the agenda on top and then the actual agenda packet on the bottom, and you don't have to download the full packet every time, so you're viewing it within the browser. Because I noticed on my phone when I'm pulling it up, previously in the old system, I'd have to download the PDF every single time, so I'm just repeatedly downloading. In this case, it appears in the browser, and you can see it in a split screen too, so you can more easily jump around. But also, if there's a particular topic, when you're looking at the minutes, if there's a particular topic that interests you, the clerk is connecting the video to that. So they're taking snippets of the video and putting just that video of that item discussion in there. So it's easier to locate that video rather than have to fast forward, rewind, try to find out where that is in the video. So a number of different improvements in there, and so I just want to say thank you to the clerk's office for moving that forward. But I do wonder, to your point, because it's an adjustment, of how do I navigate this, or how do I find this? I'm wondering if perhaps our clerk's office can work with our excellent community engagement department on perhaps putting up a little video tutorial about how to navigate that, how to use it. That could be a nice customer service feature.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Here we
I also just wanted to announce our BOGO sale ends this week for our passes at Pure Marquette. I would just like to show my support, and I'm sure the commission would agree on this. Just our thoughts and prayers for California and their fires going on right now, as they're expecting another week of high winds and still the raging fires. And then my last thing, our next meeting is in 2 weeks. I'm not sure, but I would like some just guidance or updates on our Apple Avenue project and what direction we're going with. We were supposed to have a community engagement in January. I know that city manager talked to me about some possible changes, so I don't know if we're pushing back that engagement from January to later date. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Commissioner Keener.
In regards to Apple Avenue, are we waiting for?
That's part of what.
Okay.
I don't know if Dan wants to maybe give a little bit of an update right now.
Good evening. We had a meeting with MDOT actually earlier today, and they're proceeding down the path of preparing their preliminary plans effectively. It's gone a little slower than they hoped, so that community engagement meeting that they're planning to have, we recently heard they February. It still has yet to be specifically scheduled, but it looks like it'll be mid to late February.
Thank you for that update. I appreciate it.
There have been no substantial changes to the project as they work through the preliminary design to this point yet. So,
that's unfortunate.
Thank you. Anything else, commissioners, to raise under any other business? Oh, that's what I was asking. It's not fully live yet. I know, I was excited too. I was like, can we talk about that? But it's not fully live yet. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Thank you. We talked about this last night, but for anybody who wasn't watching, we have lots of board and commission and committee opportunities that are available. We are going to be meeting next week to go through the applications that hopefully we receive a lot of, to appoint interested parties on those committees and commissions. I'm sorry, I don't remember the deadline for when those have to be submitted by.
You're asking for tomorrow by 4 p.m.
Okay, so tomorrow by 4 p.m. So if you're interested, act now. You can find those applications on the city website. If you go to the website, you can see boards and committees all the way to the right. Click on that and it will take you there. If you need a paper application, the clerk's office will help you. So get involved.
Thank you, Vice Mayor St. Clair. Anything else, commissioners? All right, we're going to go to public comment. And I've got one public comment form. It's Mr. William Muhammad. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
You have up to 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
Greetings to the commissioners, Mayor Johnson, City Manager Seifert, city staff, and last but not least, the residents of Muskegon. We want to talk about the Citizens Police Review Board. We'll start with this, how the CPRB came to exist. 1997 spring, a black young man was beaten by officers of the Muskegon Police Department. This caused outrage and frustration aimed at the MPD in many, many areas. Demonstrations and negative news coverage resulted. Meetings between the United States Justice Department, the City of Muskegon, and 5 minority-based organizations were held. These groups signed a memorandum of understanding that was signed right here in this room, right over there, if I remember correctly, in September of 1998. The Citizens Police Review Board became active in 1999 out of that memorandum. Fast forward to 2023, when important and pertinent information began to be redacted from the Muskegon Police Department Internal Affairs complaint forms that had been submitted and filled out. After 24 years, from 1999 to 2023, of past practices, the Citizens Police Review Board is extremely impeded in their ability to perform their basic functions without that information being available. The redaction is causing frustration, declining interest, and some of the board members are talking about leaving the board. In light of that, the following is proposed. Next page. In order for the CPRB to continue to work in what has been its usual properly informed manner, as it has been since its inception, the following is suggested. Add the sentence highlighted below to the end of the concluding paragraph on the Internal Affairs complaint of receipt of complaint form. This should enable the Citizens Police Review Board to examine the completed and signed form without redaction. That sentence would be as follows. This completed and signed complaint form will be read by the CPRB. We have had many discussions on the Citizens Police Review Board, of which I've been a member since its inception, and this has been probably the biggest hurdle that we have faced. And I really am aggrieved and upset with how this was handled in the first place, and we would like to see the City Commission move forward with moving this, adding of this sentence to that complaint form so that we can continue with our work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
There you go.
Just under the wire. We appreciate you joining us this evening and sharing that input and perspective. And more of I do want to reiterate from yesterday our appreciation for your decades of service to this city on the Citizens Police Review Board. Incidentally, I happened to be in the audience for that commission meeting in 1999 when the CVRB was created and the members were appointed. I was a senior in high school, and I was right over there, seated there.
In this very room, right?
In this very room. Right behind Kwame there is where I was seated. So, thank you again. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to give public comment at this time? Well, we are going to go to the phones. If you wish to phone in your comments, you'll have up to 3 minutes to provide your remarks. We ask that you turn down any audio in the background. That phone number is 231-724-6721. This is general public comment, so you can share whatever you'd like with us. It's not necessarily an opportunity for Q&A or back and forth dialogue. We can arrange a separate time for that. Again, we ask you to turn down any audio in the background and just announce your name and if you're a city resident, which neighborhood you're calling from, and if you're not a city resident, which other township, village, or city you may be calling from. Doesn't sound like we have any takers on the call-in comments. All right. Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I got one thing I'd like to say.
Commissioner German.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Muhammad, for bringing that to the Commission's attention. And we've had some conversation on this issue. Just being active in the community and talking with officers and past administrations, how Commission and I remember Commissioner Hood at that time and former Vice Mayor worked with the public, Citizens Review Board, and I've attended meetings. The work that you all do is greatly appreciated. And, I want to see something done to keep the transparency because it really gives the impression or perception that the city may not be as transparent. So I'd be willing again to meet and come to some of the meetings and have more community engagement also because we're talking about people's lives in certain situations. We've seen incidents around the country and I think the better we present ourselves as a government and be open and transparent, and I'm not saying no one's trying to hide anything. I don't know all the rules and the policies there, but as you stated, past practices allowed you all to do your work in a manner where people in the community trusted the opinions and decisions of the Citizens Review Board. So I think it really needs to be some discussion on this topic so we can move forward on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner German. So no, I trust that our city manager will be conferring with the public safety director with regard to your suggestion. I have heard some concerns and questions about procedure and protocols, and some explanations have been given in terms of why things are redacted, sensitive personal information. But if the suggestion that you provided, Mr. Muhammad, squares that or helps mitigate that, that may be the way forward. But our management will evaluate how to proceed with that regard. And I know I've tried to meet with some members of the Citizens Police Review Board to address that, and I'm still available and open to meeting with any and all of you So maybe not all of you, because that might be quorum. But some individuals of the Citizens Police Review Board. So thank you. All right.
Before you adjourn, Mike said he was coming in to introduce me.
Oh, yours passed. Your stuff passed.
Oh, it passed already?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah.
As long as I got all your attention.
If you could please introduce yourself, sir, and then if you're a city resident.
Bill Grimm.
What's the name?
Bill Grimm.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, almost to the date, you guys let us pull a house out of demolition, corner of Franklin and Washington. It was the first hospital in the city of Muskegon. Thursday, we got our mechanical final, and next week we'll get our occupancy. So Fred wanted to invite the commission, if they wanted to, walk through that. He's got apartments rented on the 1st of February. So if anybody's interested, get with Jonathan. He knows how to get a hold of me. And let me know. I'll get you through there, because 2 years of my life I'll never get back, and that was a son of a bitch. So,
but it's done now.
it's done.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit of siding missing, but
That's amazing.
inside is done.
All right.
It's beautiful.
Thank
All right. See that light at the end of the tunnel. Well, thank you, Mr. Grimm.
Enjoy.
Appreciate you. And perhaps Mr. Manager or can just share some more details with the commission by email. Sure. And yeah. All right. Well, now I entertain a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else.
Support.
All right. I believe did that come from you, Commissioner Keener? So moved? Yeah. Commissioner Keener, supported by Commissioner German to adjourn. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We adjourn. Thank you. Take care and be well.